All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's on the Power. So I've got a bunch of stories for you guys today. The first story is a feel-good story for you guys. So a lot of you guys may have seen this story. This story is coming to you out of Michigan, and it's been making somewhat national news ever since it happened about a day or two ago. So 29-year-old powerlifter Ryan Belcher came across a car accident in which a man was trapped under a Jeep Cherokee. And for reference, a Jeep Cherokee weighs over 4,500 pounds. So upon coming across this accident, Ryan Belcher actually lifts the Jeep off of the man, effectively saving his life. And the man got to the hospital with some internal bleeding, but overall he ended up being okay because he was in fact saved from underneath this car before paramedics were able to get there. And just for reference, Ryan Belcher owns a gym called Absolute Power Gym. And as a power lifter, he has squatted 950 pounds. He had a bench press of 530 pounds and an 800-pound deadlift. Now, of course, none of those numbers are anywhere close to 4,500 pounds. So it's pretty much a miracle that he was able to lift that car off of that man. So just a very cool story in the news today. Very cool to see a power lifter being able to use his strength to save somebody's life. And overall, probably my favorite story in this news video. So next up in bodybuilding news, this past weekend you had the Mr. Olympia Amateur held in South America. Now, a couple interesting stories coming out of this Olympia Amateur. The first interesting story here is the French giant Morgan Asti, one of the largest competitive bodybuilders today, finished second in his class, so he still has yet to turn pro. But one of the things that I noticed is it looks like he's made some significant improvements to his legs. In some of his earlier competitions, his legs seem to be a tremendous weak point for him, but it looks like from the front at least, they've improved dramatically in size. And if you go over to the back pose, they look bigger there as well. So unfortunately for Morgan, he did not earn his pro card, so he will have to continue that journey to finally turning pro, which has seemingly been a pretty long journey for him considering the size and development that he does have. But evidently, he's just not quite ready for that pro card yet. Now, another relatively big name that you had competing in this Mr. Olympia Amateur would be Horse MD, aka Marcelo De Angelis. Now, he ended up taking third place at this Mr. Olympia Amateur South America. Now, a lot of the posts and comments that I saw about this on Instagram were kind of critical of him, saying his conditioning wasn't very good at all for the placing that he received. And I'm kind of inclined to agree with that. When he's on, he's a very fantastic bodybuilder. But I think in this particular situation, he looked very watery. His conditioning wasn't really very good at all. And I think he was probably lucky to take top 3 at this Amateur Olympia. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about Horse MD's conditioning here at the Amateur Olympia. And do you think he deserved a placing as high as 3rd at this Amateur Olympia? Because it looks to me like his stage conditioning is almost at like a 4 to 6 weeks out mark in his prep. We've certainly seen a much, much better, much more conditioned physique from Marcelo in the past. Now, the next story that I have for you guys today, if you didn't catch my video a couple days ago, I posted a video of Roelly Winklaar doing a guest posing at just 2 weeks out from the 2019 Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Now, a lot of people in the comment section were very, very critical of how he was looking at 2 weeks out, saying he was too fat, he was too watery, he looked like he was 8 weeks out, etc., etc. People were saying they didn't think the posing video was recent. Well, this posing video was very recent. It was taken at an event in Nepal on February 16th, 2019. You can even see the date on the screen in the background of the posing video. This was, in fact, a recent video of Roelly Winklaar at 2 weeks out. There's no tricks here. He's not trying to confuse anybody. This was a posing video at 2 weeks out from the Arnold. That is how he's looking at 2 weeks out. So my honest opinion here is, number one, I think it's extremely confident that Roelly would do a guest posing at 2 weeks out from the Arnold. It's something you typically don't see anybody do that close to a major show like the Olympia or the Arnold. So you got to give him props, first of all, for getting on stage this close to a show and probably readily knowing that people are going to be picking apart his physique because obviously he's the favorite to win the Arnold Classic based on his Olympia placing. I mean, he almost beat Phil Heath at the Olympia. So props to Roelly, first of all, for doing that guest posing in the first place this close to the Arnold. But my honest opinion is he doesn't really look ready. Now, in all fairness, a lot can be done in 2 weeks in terms of diuretics, in terms of dropping water, in terms of really completely transforming a physique over the course of 2 weeks. If you really know what you're doing, it is possible. Now, I would feel a lot more confident about saying that Roelly can completely change his physique if we were talking about 4, 5, or 6 weeks out. But we're talking about 2 weeks out here. This is, right up to the deadline. There's really almost no wiggle room here for messing around. Now, people could attribute him holding water to the fact that the flight to Nepal was long, he was traveling. It could be any number of factors that made him look the way he did on that stage. But I think at the end of the day, pretty much everybody in that comment section did agree that Roelly didn't look ready, or he didn't look as conditioned as he should be at 2 weeks out. Now, people were also saying that he had a bubble gut there. I would agree that he had a little bit of distension, but I wouldn't really go as far to say that he had a gut. He did have some distension in the midsection for sure, but I wouldn't really say that's an indicator that he's going to have a gut on stage at the Arnold Classic. And overall, I'm still very optimistic that Roelly's going to be able to secure a top 3 placing here. Now, I also saw some comments in the comment section of people saying there's no way that Roelly's actually competing at the Arnold Classic. He must have dropped out. And right now, to my knowledge, there's no truth to that statement. Right now, as far as I know, Roelly is still 100% on to compete at the Arnold Classic. There's been no indication given that he's not doing the Arnold. So as far as we know right now, this was a guest posing at 2 weeks out, and he is still competing at the Arnold. So I'm going to do a prediction video here in about a week when we're about 1 week out, or just under 1 week out from the Arnold Classic, and give my predictions based on everything we've seen in the recent weeks from some of these top guys. And maybe my prediction will change. Maybe Roelly won't be first this time in my prediction. But this is bodybuilding, and anything is possible, and a lot can happen in a 2 week period of time. So just keep that in mind. And I wouldn't 100% write off Roelly Winklaar just yet. Now, next up in the news, a strongman story for you guys, Larry Wheels and Hafthor Bjornsson. So as you know, Larry Wheels and Hafthor will both be competing in the World Log Lift Challenge. Larry Wheels received a special invitation about a week and a half ago. Now, the interesting thing here is Larry Wheels posted a video hitting a 444-pound or 202-kilogram log press PR on his Instagram page. But even more interesting, his coach, Hafthor Bjornsson, posted a video as well, maxing out at the same weight as Larry Wheels, his student. And if you watch the 2 videos, Larry Wheels' lift almost looks cleaner than Hafthor's lift. So I'm going to play both those videos for you guys right here. So I think when it comes to Larry Wheels, the pressing movements are some of his strongest movements. And I think when it comes down to him competing in strongman, that's going to be the area that he has the biggest advantage in. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do at this World Log Lift Challenge. Now, the next story that I have for you guys is pro wrestling related, and this is a story that probably a lot of wrestling fans never thought they would actually ever see happen. So it was announced a day ago that the wrestler Chyna, as well as the Generation X, are announced for the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2019. Now, the biggest part of this story, obviously, is the fact that Chyna is finally inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, as many of you may remember, back in 2016, Joni Lore, a.k.a. Chyna, passed away from a drug overdose at the age of 45 years old. And back then, there was a very large push from fans to get the WWE to recognize her as a WWE Hall of Famer for being so revolutionary and paving the way for female wrestlers and female entertainers in general. And the WWE really didn't seem to acknowledge or hear those cries for her to be in the Hall of Fame. And really, ever since she went down that pornographic route and kind of the involvement that she had in drugs and other things, she was, for lack of a better term, kind of blacklisted from the WWE. And of course, there's the speculation that because her and Triple H were romantically involved, and now Triple H is married to Stephanie McMahon, that perhaps some of the drama surrounding that past relationship would be something that prevented her from ever being in the Hall of Fame. But now, finally, she has been announced as the Hall of Fame class of 2019, which I think a lot of people, including myself, are happy to see her get that recognition, even if it is post-mortem. Now, the final story that I have for you guys is Brian Shaw deadlifting 1,025 pounds just a couple weeks out from the Arnold, rapidly catching up to Hafthor Bjornsson's PR that he set a few days ago of 1,042 pounds. Of course, Brian and Hafthor will be going head-to-head at the 2019 Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio in the Strongman Classic competition. So looking forward to see them compete there, and they're looking very, very close as of right now in terms of overall strength. So that is the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and make sure if you have not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.